Peace, family. Peace. Shout out to everybody waiting patiently as usual. I want to thank everybody in the chat, everybody listening. It's going to be a great show. It's definitely going to be worth the wait. Make sure I haven't been on here in a couple of days, y'all. Y'all know I was up in New York. So shout out to the fam in New York. Had to take care of some serious business up there. But yeah, back down here. So I had to get started with my brother AA. Gonna have a good show. About to introduce the brother, but as usual, let's get to it. Make sure you hit the like button. That's very important, family. Hit the like button if you're not subscribed. Make sure you subscribe. But we will be back in about 1 minute after this brief commercial, my family.
Started out with nothing. Now I got a whole lot of something. Breaking through the roof. Willy Wonka when he pressed the button. When I do a money ritual, all of a sudden money started coming. Then I caught the Holy Ghost. I still be rhyming even when I'm mumbling. You repeat my name 3 times. While you staring in the mirror, bottle will appear. Like poof, I came from out of thin air. To me the gun is like a magic wand. I make a problem disappear. I would nigga tape out his mouth. Just to turn him to veneer. I can do magic, I can do magic. 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 When I open up my mouth, I can move masses. Black magic on the beat, turn it to a classic. I'ma take the money out the bank, then I'ma put it in the mattress. Show me the niggas got.
All right, and we are back. Somebody said, "Brother, Rich sound better." Yeah, I'm definitely feeling better. Not 100%, but I'm definitely way better than I was a couple of days ago when I was in New York. But without further ado, I want to welcome to the show my brother AA Rashid. Hey, where you at, man? Come on, you messed up my intro to you, man. Come on, my introduction, man. What's good, my brother? Good to have you back on here, man.
Peace and love. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing better. I was a little under the weather a couple of days ago. I went to New York and that cold hit me. I wasn't ready for that. Well, it wasn't too cold, but it still hit me a little, son. You know what I'm saying? Reminded me I was in New York, but Listen, hey, man, listen, hey. There's so many things going on in this world right now. A lot of people feel as though it's, it reminds them of biblical times, and you're one of the best people I've seen dissect that Bible, whether it's Kabbalistically or in other ways as well. So just what I know, you have a different perspective. You have a different way of viewing the world, events, and just decoding different things. AA. So just want you to go in, my brother. Talk to me about what you see going on, my brother.
Well, I want to say thank you for having me on.
Indeed.
But to say the word biblical time is a little misleading.
Okay.
Yeah. To the nuance of history, because we know we have time before that. So we are subject, and very important to start off by saying the African American has a very unique experience with the Bible, unlike other people. Other people, they experience with the Bible. They've kind of benefited from its experience, whereas it really wasn't in our favor, So our true religion is, from my most recent study and acknowledgement, is honoring. It's an honor system, and as of recent, like, I'm approaching 49 years old, and you know how you see a lot of things several times.
Yes.
And you start getting what people call jaded, so to speak. And When I get like that, I have to go outside of myself and go speak to people that I respect their opinion and their outlook. One of the people was like, Oba. And one of the things we was discussing was the nature, the very fulcrum, the foundation of our religion is honor system,
Yes,
you
sir.
know? And you can always find us in our nuanced religious behavior through our honor systems. So we have the world's oldest honor system. If something good happens for us, we claim that it came from our ancestors and from our prayer structure.
Right.
And if you ever want to find out the origin of God as a true patron and a person who truly wants to understand the nuances of religion, you have to go to the way people prayed. And then you'll find the intelligence or the nuanced behavior of the God inside of the prayer, because the people make the God.
Okay.
So I want to set out and make a miniature prayer to all people on the planet right now who are going through any type of turmoil or duress. If you got two eyes, two ears, if you're human and sentient, I think that the African American can be more advanced and the most advanced spiritually because we do not have to be polarized to issues external to our experience. You feel me?
Okay.
We have a very unique experience. And our experience has gifted and blessed us with the ability to look and observe, not once, but twice. And twice offers us the ability to have respect for what we perceive. And then from having respect for what we perceive, we can move accordingly and make it beneficial to us what we perceive. So when you look at the structure of civilizations is established by people who have honor systems. And then when you go look at the honor system, the first place that you have to look is inside of the archaeology of the people and their burial rituals. And we noticed that we spread a culture of respect for the dead everywhere we went. And you find with the dead, you find pottery, you find all of these things that is things that the dead will use in the hereafter. It's respectful to give them all their accoutrements that they deserve, right? So we find pottery all over the world. And in particular, when you go to areas where they say religion began, and say we go to Mesopotamia, we go to the areas surrounding Mesopotamia, we go to the Sinai Peninsula, we go Jerusalem, we go all of those areas, and we look at the care, custody, and concern that the people played on the dead, you'll find areas in time when the Kushite theology or the thought of the Kushite people was prominent. And then you'll find periods when that shifted and went to another theme spiritually. So in order for an African American who was, in my opinion, manipulated unjustly by religion, I get an opportunity to look at the world of religion in a different way and offer my findings to others in hopes that they might find themselves within the narrative, right? So I find that all of these people, they really was into what you call it, honoring dead people. And in particular, this is one of the things that they used to do. They used to have mass burials. They used to bury their dead along with their ancestors. This is a theme. If you ever want to find a people's culture, you have to go to see how they cared, the custody, care, and concern that they offered to the dead, right? And when you do so, you'll find some interesting things that they did. One of the things that we find in North Africa, as well as into what they consider the Middle East, is mass burials. And we also find a spiritual cosmology, or I would call it a spiritual nationality was inserted in the context of, you had to bury me with my dead as respect, right? Because if you don't bury me with my dead, then my dead will come, arise, and they will walk the earth, and they will create and become ghost-like figures and create tumult and tumultuous events all throughout the land, in order for you to wake up and venerate and create the honor system in which the universe operates with. So the whole universe operates through an honor system that you can see in all the ancient motifs from the first period of people from those regions that we talked about, called the Middle East. There's an ancient people called the Ubayyad.
Ubayyad.
And the Ubayyad people, when you go to their finds, they have some interesting pottery, and on their pottery, they envisage the eye. They put an eye under the body of a gazelle or an animal. Probably was the animal that they represented life to them, right? So we see this conceptualization of awareness and the eye around animals or beasts of the land that can give subsistence. Even if you don't eat what the animal is eating, you could, if you don't eat or consume the animal, you can at least watch the animal's behavior and determine various structures and things external to your experience. So we find that not only did they have this image of the eye, but also, and to give you a time period, you talk about 6,000, about 6,500 years ago, about 6,500 years ago. And then prior to that, you have some people called the Halaf. And the Halaf were discovered by their architectural designs of their city construct under the architecture of the Ubayyad. And if you were to go to Syria, you go to Israel, Jerusalem, any of those places, and you stand on top of a hill, if you stand there and you kick the dirt long enough, you might be in 4,500 years of a civilization that was stacked on top of another civilization, that was stacked on top of another civilization, that was stacked on top of another civilization.
That's some real shit, eh?
So what occurs is, I'm here in Los Angeles, and all of the financial district is on top of a hill. And it's noted, people know that there were great battles downtown Los Angeles, decisive battles that won, that were the colonizers of the time won and took hold of key points of Los Angeles based off those battles. And there were pre-existing civilizations and people who lived in Los Angeles whose dead bodies you heard? Somebody called me by mistake.
It's all good.
Hello? So you see a prominent and very significant behavioral pattern in the area of downtown Los Angeles that, if you go online, there's tons in a litany of literature to substantiate what I'm saying, that downtown Los Angeles is haunted. Downtown Los Angeles is haunted. Downtown Los Angeles has paranormal experiences that are beyond the phenomenon of common understanding, unless you understand, according to your ancient spirituality, of the honor system, which we have a very interesting experience as an African American is that we came here and our religion was completely removed from us. And our religion, after being removed from us, we have now been supplanted with a new one. And ever since we've been formulating our nuanced responses to anything external based off of our interaction with the new religion. So, for instance, on a archaeological, folklore, journey, if you go and look at the music of post-slavery or slavery music, there are people who have maintained the tradition of how they interspersed spiritual concepts from the Bible and turned them into songs to warn other slaves as to the approaching or the imminent approach of enemies in the form of slave masters. One of the words, one of the songs, one of the groups of people, the last remaining group of people who was doing this, they call them Macintosh shouters. Like a Macintosh Apple, you can look them up. The Macintosh shouters, their music is in the Smithsonian Museum. So in their African American experience, they adopted new methods of had been embraced by this thing called slavery. Now they had to teach one another or instruct one another, help one another based off of things that they garnered from the Bible. One of the songs is, and this song comes from a direct experience. If you and I was in slavery and we were out in the pasture and there was extra meat or extra food in the smokehouse, we would send one of our brothers to go up down to the smokehouse and go steal us a piece of food. And if the slave captain was coming, we'll start singing biblical songs and we'll call the person that went up there to go get us the food from the smokehouse, we'll call him Prophet Daniel. And we would mix Daniel in the lion's den with fire, and this is recorded. This is known. You could go look up what I'm talking about. So now what happened is, after you lost your religion, you lost your honor system, and then you lost your ability to fully comprehend why it is that paranormal experiences, bloodletting, and horrific things occur in the presence of unregistered, unofficiated ceremonies dealing with death. A lot of us are grief-stricken and are suffering curses of being grief-stricken because we don't have the spiritual technology to actually place our dead in the required location, which makes it so that they can create a peaceful environment for the living. So religion has lost its way. And the African American is very interesting. Our whole experience here, we have creatively created all of these new nuances to be religious and in sync with spiritual themes that don't honor ancestors. So you can ask your biggest preachers, you can ask your imams, even your conscious, super deep, the deep ones, and you go, true religion, your true religion is knowing your grandmother's mother's name. Your real religion is knowing your grandfather's father's name. Knowing a tradition connected to him and being able to actively participate in channeling or bringing that person that we speak of into fulcrum, into the world to occupy so that they can assist you. So we are responsible for creating religion. We sit over with some very industrious West Africans walked all the way over to Mesopotamia and brought all the living traditions of West Africa, which are alive right now, into Mesopotamia, and they went to places that you can go and formulate and maintain myths. They go to irrigated areas where waterways are, and they took a reed that they found, and they took the available clay, and they started writing down everything that they saw. Everything they seen, they started recording it with their reeds in cuneiform, writing down everything they saw until they got a series of recognizable occurrences that coalesce also with their deep knowledge of the stellar phenomena. So they were connecting myths of the stellar phenomena with occurrences or omens in the physical world and writing all of them down. By the time they got over here, they had tens of thousands of omens. If you were born with a black mole under your eye, over your eye, on the nose, on the forehead, they had a recorded litany of things to speak about regarding your existence, including also they also had a full litany of information regarding the phenomena of necromancy. So when the advent of religion came and they instituted religion on you, you could no longer communicate to your ancestors. Certain religions that have such an emphasis and an onus and a love for deity, they forbid you for even making an effigy or putting a picture of your parents or anybody related to you or any altar whatsoever. And it's perplexing to me how we went from active participants in God to wanting to be gods. And you get into the thing in a world where you want to be God, it's impossible for you to activate and truly be God with this a litany of some shit you done remembered in your mind. Some traditions, oral traditions of the modern world brought to memory does not make you a full participant of deity. God is, according to your ancestors, an honor system that you fully participate in, which you speak directly to your ancestors and they speak back to you through occurrences and things that you see as indicators as to what you need to be doing. So we become, over time, forgetful of the fact that we are living on top of dead people. You know how you say, oh, we standing on the shoulders of great people. You heard?
No, facts.
And we like this. Oh, you standing on the shoulders of great people. You heard? Okay. You're literally doing so. You heard? You're standing and living on the shoulders and the clavicles and the forgotten sinews and the bones of ancestors who are not dead. The U.S. military has even created a newfound need to inform people about the hemisync method, and they speak about how all of us have the ability to have psychic capability. However, the psychic capability gets augmented by events of grief and anguish that have not been yet quantified or dealt with by the what I say is the primitive spiritual technology, which cleanses the arena or the area once something negative has occurred. So you find the Umayyad is built on top of the Halath, and then on top of that, there are other civilizations that we see now, and these were called Uruks, cities. These cities were called Urus, and according to Sumerians. So the word Uru means city, but Uru is where we get the Spanish word for gold. So cities are places for commerce. So what happens in a city when the people forget? And you see, I sent you some slides. One of the earliest contributions to Western civilization were the first people who were established the interpretation of the cuneiform tablets. And in the omens, I sent you some. You can open up and look at the first thing that it say. Okay. The first omen, it says in the Shuma Alu, the 120 tablets, which are composed of 10,000 omens. The very first one on tablet 1, line 1, if a city is set on a height, living in that city will not be good. Anybody that lives in a city that is set on a height, according to this omen, it is not good, because their practice was to live on top of your ancestors. At this time of this omen, this was after these people had experienced living on top of their ancestors and having had made the mistake of not honoring them for so long that they found that living on top of the heights of cities are not a good look for you. You don't want to live in a building too tall. And I said tall for a reason. In the other slide, I show you the modern terms for these hills and these structures that are hilly-like. They're called dells. And you hear it Del Amara. And this is where we get the English word tall from. Tall comes in Arabic, the word for mound or small hill is tal. So now, if you look, go to the other slide, and you see that the word appears in the Hebrew as well. Those are two, you could go back to those two pictures. Those are two prominent cities built on top of ancestors. That one and that one. Those are, and that right there is man-made, King. That is a city on top of several cities, on top of several cities. Each layer of a civilization, according to archaeology, could be like 30 feet. So you do the math, bro, as to how many, right? So when you go to, when something very interesting about 2023, about 2023, about 2,000 years ago, plus maybe about 30, 40 years, that's when a king named Herod established a wall that became very prominent religiously. And we know what that wall is. And that wall, and when you see people go to that wall, what is the thing that you see them do? They go to the wall, and people say that they wail. And I want my students to look at this. Go look up Akkadian and Sumerian religious literature pertaining to weeping and crying. The last instance of humans that actually, and some of the last ones that actually knew the import of grief were the Sumerians and Akkadians, and then through conquest and through the establishment of religions, that grief was taken away when you could no longer venerate your ancestors. When you conquest the people, you destroy their temples and you make it impossible for them to go to their effigies and go back to their ancestors and ask for help. Y'all asking humans for help. Humans is be worried about the wrong stuff. They always worried about vestigial shit that don't got nothing to do with them or nothing to do with nothing. And they think they helping you when they actually not. Worrying about social nuanced issues and stuff, dead rappers and all of this stuff. People do not have the ability to tell me what their grandmother's mother in them name is. And Lord forbid, today or tomorrow, if the people say that we about to give reparations, all you got to do to get your money, African American, is just write down 6 of your great-great-grand people. You heard? You know how many thirsty Negroes want that money to go run back to Louis, but they don't got no ingenuity or nobody to speak to. They worried about dead rappers, bro. And this is what our ancestor worship has been maligned to. Nobody care about living people. When the last time somebody called you to ask you how you doing? Just to be on the strip. Like, yo, peace, King. I just checking in to say, how are you? You heard? Just now, when I was in New York, I seen one of my homies, very prominent person in the culture, from around the way to the music, everything, to the culture. I seen him. I was there for about 2 days, and I seen him, and I was like, damn, it was good seeing homie. I ain't seen him in years. And I seen him, and I was like, damn, I see so many people benefiting from his existence. So many people. And it kind of hurt me. And I know I time-stamped my experience. While I'm walking, I'm talking to my folks out here, and they like, what happened? You sound sad. I say, man, I just see my homie, man. And I know that he is that nigga. He is one of them. And then a week later, he passes away. And everybody and their mother is like this. Yo, son passed away. Son passed away. This, that, and the third. And I said, you know what? It's people that wasn't even around him like that, speaking on him like this. And I was like, wow, I'm glad I got a chance to see him the last way I seen him, but I'm not going to that service so I could see everybody having a party, but nobody was having a party around his life. You heard? So I'm kind of like, I don't want to be conscious. I don't want to be down. You heard? I want to be culturally significant and reciprocitous and in an honor system pertaining to those people who I intend on seeing for the rest of my life doing great. Anytime I gotta find you or see you, if I can't see the best side of you, that means something is. It means I got work to do inside of me. If you see something in me that you need, what's going on with that? That means some shit in you can see some shit in me. So you need to work on you, and then the honor system comes, and then we can work on one another. For real. So when I see the world at 48, about to be 49, I remember when I was 9 years old. And when I look at the world, it was just as tumultuous as it was then, if not even worse. You heard? The amount of disrespect that religious people have for one another is tantamount to an atrocity of the highest order. And African Americans are under the impression that they have to be polarized and take positions about issues dealing with things that we have a religion that we've forgotten about that could redeem all of the world's problems. All of the world's problems could be solved right now if the term honor and respect was inserted into the human psychology and the human had the ability to live outside of Instagram, to not be guided and motivated. Your soul's purpose is navigated and guided by internet. That is not your culture, for real. So I say, what's the other? I want to show the listeners the nuanced archetypes associated to the term "tel" for mass burial. And if people really want to learn, I'm gonna be in Miami for Art Basel in a very it's going to be a very private and a quaint space, and it's going to be amenities for the people who pull up to the space, that to show honor to them for even knowing about what it is that we do. Because I'm not interested in social issues or things that don't border on the metaphysical or the spiritual or nuanced understanding of religious context. So, Rich, if you can, we could go to some other slides. So now look, right there. So now you see this region is very significant. And you see the first term, Tel Zurgul, tall mound or small hill. This is one of the significant points where archaeologists have gone and unearthed civilization in the form of finding people honoring themselves, in the form of making graves and sites that were mutually, it wasn't individual graves, if you were buried with your ancestors. So nomadic people were very, very extremely into family. Like to this day, they still trying to shake that in places like Afghanistan. If me and you was in Afghanistan, bro, and if I passed away and I was married and you ain't got no wife, or you do got a wife, my wife had to go to you. Can you imagine the discrepancies that would present itself in this present world with the psychology as it stands? So those people was extreme when it came to family. So this is one of the areas, and then you'll find several sites such as this with this term tall or tel in front of it. So go to the next slide. Let's look at the archetypes from which the term comes from. Now here in the biblical Hebrew, we find the word under 8 in the strongest concordance. We find 8, 5, 10 tel as a mound, a heap, and ruin. Interesting. Heap, one place it is represented as strength. Interesting. Then we find the term tala. It means suspended, determined, or bent, meaning to hang in doubt. And then we have Tel Abib, the mound of barley, mound of storm tide, mound of flood, right? Then we have Tala'a, hardship or burden. So let's go to the next slide. Look at the archetypes. Now, whenever you see the letter T or thou in language, it represents the cross, the place, or it represents death. When Jesus died, the mythological Jesus, his bones, he was killed and interned on what? Golgotha. You hear the term Thali, Tel, and the Golgoth. And Gel means, the Gel means skull. And when you put ut or a vowel thou at the end, it means the place of, or it can mean it's another pluralization, another means by which to pluralize something. But now, interesting, when you see the letters or the sound lamed inside a language, it represents discipline. So every word that you hear that has the letter L in it, it indicates an action that requires other elements to discipline themselves for it to occur. You hear it in the term loud. In order for me to speak loud, I have to speak loud. Is the disciplining. When you hear terms like leave, like to go somewhere, it indicates the act of going. So it's a discipline. So when you hear the word thel, you hear the term, it's the place of death, but it's also the place of death where death is disciplined, or the receptive principles of what death are. So when you go and we see anywhere on the globe, bro, where there's a lot of tumultuous experiences and a lot of people are suffering, and we look at the environment surrounding these people, and we look at the things that are occurring to them, we as African Americans have the authority to not just look at and polarize ourselves and look at political circumstances surrounding the experience. We also have the autonomy and the ability to cloak and cover the experience with the understanding and the love to understand and see what's going on. And we know that there's a bunch of unsettled spiritual debts going on. People who died who were not venerated, people who went to the other realm and were not taken care of in the physical realm are still alive. And I'm an active believer of that. You heard? And we can find a slew of instances that tell you that anytime the people forget who they are, they experience, my people suffer from a lack of knowledge. That when you read that in the Hebrew, my people suffer from a lack of knowledge, it means my people suffer from a lack of odus. That's what it literally says. My people suffer from a lack of readings. You heard? And the only way you can get a reading is somebody that believes in your ancestors, and they are sitting there speaking to them adamantly for you, as an advocate for you, to give you a third party read on what occurred. So 5 minutes to the hour, I'm kind of good on that, Rich.
All right. Wow. Okay. I love how you break down things. I love your approach. I love how you're able to tie things in together, my brother. I don't want to get too direct right now because this live is so important. I don't want to jeopardize this live with
And you know, we've been using language in such a way to maintain this live that it might sound nebulous to people. It was stressing me out as to how I'm gonna speak like this with what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
And not polarize people. So I'm like, if anybody had the capacity to have spiritual understanding, it should be us. You know?
No,
For
indeed.
real.
Indeed. Do you let me get to a few questions before we get here. Let me do that. Yeah, let's get to a few questions from the people before we get out of here.
Okay.
Let me put this down. Hold up, y'all.
And for the people who are looking, if they paying attention, this is an excellent book by Idris Shah. It's called Oriental Magic. It's one of my favorite books. You heard? This book is loaded, bro, with tons of information regarding spiritual nuances that we didn't even know existed. You know what I'm saying? For real.
Show that book one more time, AA. One more time.
Idris Shah, Oriental Magic.
Okay.
The book is a must-have.
Right.
Promise.
Right. Have you ever? Yeah.
You see this? It's sweater weather. We got our sweater weather. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had our peoples in human zoos over here in the Bronx. You know, they just apologized for having this brother. He was one of the last surviving people of his family in Belgium, and they killed him. The Belgians killed his family. And this
Wow.
brother came here and they had him in display and human zoos. They had human zoos all over the world where Europeans was at. Wherever Europeans was at, they had this view of us that we was apes and monkeys. And this is why people play with us to this day, for real. And
Uh,
people play with us to this day because they think that we can't defend ourselves, for real.
uh,
And
uh,
we become a subject of jokes and everything to the rest of the world, and we monkeys to everybody. But I promise you, you can't deny, you can't deny the ancestors. They here. They're not going nowhere. And
mhm,
it's our duty to keep it what you call it, keep it contemporary. There's no beginning to us and no end, for real. And these
mhm.
is exclusively available, and I got a better material. This ain't them hoodies that's gonna get naps on them. Once you put them in the wash machine,
Right, right.
and it should be raggedy, then you turn it inside out, and then the shit make you feel stupid on your skin. You ever felt
Uh,
that? The
yeah,
raggedy ass hoodies, the
I
cheap hoodies,
I know what
and
you're
make your
talking about.
skin feel stupid. Be like, damn, son, why? You
Uh,
know what I mean? For real.
mm. All right, let's give me a few questions, family, in the chat before we get out of here. We're gonna get to this one real quick. All right, AA, do you think Quran and the religion of Allah has done harm to us? What religion or implemented discipline or programming has tarnished us specifically?
I want to say all of them have a hand in altering our ability to contact our ancestors. There's nothing that it is to contact your ancestors Islamically. That's bid'ah. You are not Islamic and you are so-called not Muslim if you set up an altar in your house and speak to your ancestors. You heard? The 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 what religion can and has done for us is it keeps a record of human behaviors that humans have used to subsist and maintain themselves for millennia. What happens is these things change and the names change. So the dua of the Muslim making dua is connected to the du'at of the Commission cosmology of the underworld. So when you make a prayer and you make dua Islamically and you say, oh, I want to make a dua for money, I want to make a dua for family, I want to make a dua for peace, I want to make a dua for people to stop fighting, I want to make a dua for my haters to just go ahead and get the fuck on. You go like this, you make dua and you use your hands in such a way that you inherited this. The use of these hands in this form has ancient import and they are connected to a series of Akkadian and Sumerian prayers called Ikrabu prayers. So you hear the term Ikra Islamically when you hear the tale of when the angel Jibril came to the Rasulullah and said, read Ikra, Ikra, pressing on his chest to make an illiterate man read. So Ikra, the term has everything to do with the ikrabu form of prayer. Then the term dua has everything to do with odu, when you go get a reading from Oba, you go get a reading even from Ra'akul. You're getting an odu. You're getting a read for someone who has access to a third party, who can read a baru, a diviner. But when you get to religion, it isolates you from your ancestors and you can't do that. Now you have to follow a person to get to God. And that's not your ancient religion at all. Now you got highly nuanced African American hybridizations of Islamic motifs from nomadic Middle Eastern. You don't wear slippers in the desert. You got Alabama black mud on your feet, brother. You don't got sand in between your toes, king. You feel me? So we got to put it stuff in perspective. So then when you get here, then your forms of Islam that you created, you couldn't go over there with that and become a part of the ummah, so to speak, right? Sit there with the ummah because they're gonna be like, nah, brother, where's your beard? You're not participating in the sunnah. Where's your prostration marks? I don't think that y'all make salat. I think y'all just walk around and y'all proselytize about how black and great you is. That's not Islam. And that's what they'll tell you. You heard? So any religion that doesn't operatively connect you to your ancestors is actually one of the tools. Like all of the three religions have something to do with you going to slavery anyway. For real. All three of them had their respective role. The Christians put out the edict. The Muslims provided the, what you call it, the maps. And then you have finances. You heard? So, I mean, what do people want? They want a black version of everything. You heard? But they don't want the African version of nothing. For real.
All right. Let's I just had a question. Where did it go? Give me 1 second.
Take your time.
Give me 1 second. But let me ask this one in the meantime. How do I read the Quran properly?
With Arabic.
Okay.
You heard?
Yeah.
For real. For real. So you call it, and I would say you read it next to what they would call them, another component, like a companion or of a language that has relative relation, syntax, and phonetically. So you find I would read simultaneously the Quran as well as the Bible. Yeah, because you'll find the word wisdom mean the same thing in both languages. You heard?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot of things to do with right there. But when someone says, "How do I read the Quran properly?" I would say, have you read John G. Jackson? Have you read any Ivan Van Sertima? We want to go read. Have you read my book? Have you got my book? You heard? How you got my book? I'm like this. A lot of people. This is one of the things I've seen over years. People have called me proud too. Called me like this. Yo, guess what, AA? I'm like, what's good? What's going on? I'm starting to read the Quran right now. You heard? And I'll be like, word. And I'll be like, damn, okay. I'm already a professor in a whole nother institution. And okay, baby in first grade. You heard? Baby need God. Go ahead, get it, baby. First grade, second grade. By the time you get to high school, you might hear about Sufism. You heard? You feel me?
Indeed.
For real.
What? Hey, what do you think about all this talk about Holy Land? What do you think about Horace Butler saying that the Holy Land, I believe he said it was in Peru. He also talked about Utah. What's your thoughts on his books and him saying the Holy Land was not where everybody think it is?
Okay. There is an article, the Jester Press, Jester, JSTOR. It's called Non-Western Sacred Sites, African Models.
Right. And
when you go read it, it gives you something very interesting. It reminds Africans, the African-centered mind. Nobody, if you ask an African what's a sacred site, they're not going to use religion. You heard? And I'm gonna read some of this paper to give people some clarity. Mm-hmm. The categories in which the Western world has traditionally organized African sacred sites and their related architectures reflect neither the nature of African thought, philosophy, or religion, nor the structure of African cultures. The discrete and separate categories that categorize so much of Western architectural history, both sacred and secular, have been imposed on a cultural melee that has no such divisions. In Africa, the traditional nature of religions and philosophies suggests a broader definition of the concept of sacred site. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but to say something is sacred, you have to have a sacred mind, sacred ritual, and a sacred people. And within the context of that, you find sacred sites. You go to the Dogon of Mali, they have a sacred site for where they live. If you go to the projects, go to the sacred site, you ask people from back in the day, Brevoort, what's the sacred site of the projects? They're going to tell you the Coliseum, where they play ball at, where the stars are born. You heard? So our concept of sacred sites come from a colonizer telling us where saints and angels descended and dragons spoke and snakes tricked women. You heard? And it's like a lot of it is just like, wow, we make the site sacred based off of where we placed our dead, where we placed our art, and how we fed our dead. You see?
All right, let me somebody, damn, I had this question. There's this question I keep wanting to ask, but I keep losing it. Let me see. Let me try to find it. Give me 1 second. I just had it, then you started talking and I started listening. In the meantime, family, make sure while I look for this question, make sure you support AA via Cash App. His Cash App is on the screen, family. $ AA Rashid Art. Hit him up. Make sure you support the brother. Brother been putting in work for over a decade doing this thing.
But Rich, I promise you though, bro, the books is where it's at, and I got the lecture that I had to present in Atlanta. I'm thinking I might present that at Art Basel. You heard? To a select group of people, only a very small group of people, and I have the beautiful space to accommodate them. For real, promise you.
Excellent. What is the mystery of iniquity? AA. That's what somebody want to know.
I'm not interested in that. That sounds like a song from Lauryn Hill, bro. For real. That's some Googleable shit. Word is bond. Word to mother. No disrespect. For real. Like if a nigga send me Cash App and ask me some shit like that, and then I'll go outside of what we talking about and speak on that. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect. With all due respect, though. For real.
They want to know, what do you think about the Native American mounds in the States?
Oh, some of them are older than many sites on the planet that you profess to be so ancient that we like to go outside of our own culture in the Americas to find ancient dates someplace. And these places are directly correlated to what I call, in the Hebrew Bible, they call them theles. A thele is also a mound in the sky. So they call one of the mounds in the sky, they call it the Thali, and it means the dragon. But in Louisiana, they got a serpent mound. Serpents and dragons are synonymous. So our people would build a mound consecrated to the ancestors, but that mound would be built in direct correlation to the celestial imperative. You know what I'm saying? And
Indeed.
the Thali, the dragon star, the pole star, the Thali is also, the Europeans call it the Draco, or Draco, the dragon. You know what I'm saying? So we made pole stars and points of confluence on earth and in heaven so they can reflect one another in our action. For real.
Indeed. We're going to do 2 more questions, then we're going to get out of here, family. May you ask on ancient Sufism order in connection with ancestral veneration?
Well, when you say the word ancient, well, I don't know what ancient means to some people. When you speak of a tradition and such as Sufism, and you say ancient, that's a misnomer. Islam is not ancient. You heard? Sufism is a branch of Islam. So if Sufism is a branch of Islam and Islam is not ancient, let's put the question and calibrated so we're not misleading the listeners. What nuances in Sufism reflect ancient ancestral veneration? And the only thing that I know of as a participant of a Sufi, a West African Sufi order, not only was I a participant, my little brother, my mom's participant, and you can also ask Red Pill. We was all in the company of West African Sufis when we was children, and we seen the actual spirit, the power, and all of that stuff that comes in it, the dhikring. And the word dhikr means to remember. So they used to also have these talismans that they would create for you, and they had these spells, which are really spells, and they are in a hybridized language of not only Wolof, but as well Arabic. But when you say Wolof and you say Sufi, African Sufi, and you say Wolof, linguistically, you tie yourself back to the Medunater, because Wolof has so many nuanced connections linguistically to the Medunater. So Egyptian civilization has never ceased to exist. If it still lives, Osar is right. Where's his children? He said, my children have gone to the West. What's the West? The West is West Africa. And they over there right now using the language of God and the language of science, which is the Medu, in the form of Wolof. So externally in Senegal, I don't know if this is still a case, but back in the day, I remember the president of Senegal. Senegal is like 90% Islamic. The president of Senegal was a Catholic. You heard? Does that take away the energy, the spiritual energy, and the power of that? And that's one of the most stablest regions in Africa, is Senegal, right? It's popping surrounding Senegal. It's good right there. You have the Morids, you have the Tijani, you have a lot of different this is the birthplace and the home of so many Sufi saints, African Sufi saints. But if they come around Arab Muslims, Arabs will tell you that them Sufis are participating in bid'ah, and that what they're doing is an innovation and it goes against al-Islam, and that they are going to hell. That's what the Arabs say about your African Islam. Promise you.
Wow.
And when you read this book, you'll find in here, written by Chinese people, Mongols. When the Mongols you have Mongols that was Islamicized as well, and they had a rich respect for culture. And everywhere they went, because they were conquerors, they would go and take pieces of people's culture and codify it and put it in their culture. In this book, it shows you Sufi talismans written by Chinese people. You heard? Islamic Chinese. You heard? You know? Did you know that magic lives within the context of the religion, and wherever magic goes, religions follow shortly behind. For real.
Okay, a last question. How can you tell when the ancestors speak to you, my brother? Laquita wants to know that.
That's a very good question, and I don't want to mislead Queen, and I don't want to speak without license, but I will offer what I perceive to be an answer, and that answer is to pay attention to nuanced occurrences and omens that you see occur surrounding you. Certain things happen for certain reasons. Some ancestors speak to you in certain ways. One of my brothers told me years ago, after he had certain readings, he said that in his reading, he has an elder, a very old man, that be coughing, that be trying to communicate to him. And he came to find out over time that elder who was coughing was his father trying to speak to him. So this is within the belief system of this brother, who is an initiate in the spiritual reality of African spirituality. So these little nuances and stuff like that are indicators for real. Like I've heard people say, yo, when I sneeze profusely, that's ancestors speaking. I've been in instances where I remember one time I was out of town and I was in the same city as one of my students. And I told him I was going to be in the city and he wasn't answering his phone. He wasn't answering his phone. This is in upstate New York years ago. For real, rest in peace, my little homie Lorenzo, man. He's a legend. Promise you. I went to his funeral and all. I did not know I was going to be going to his funeral, but Lorenzo told me that he had passed away without actually telling me that. Lorenzo was supposed to meet me somewhere and pull up to an event, and he never did. And I was under the impression, I was like, damn, what happened to little bro? And then I'm sitting in a restaurant with my homies, and I got witnesses to this. We're sitting there talking smack, moving around, and I knocked down a whole glass of water with ice in it and everything.
Wow.
And then I was like, damn, that's the ancestors speaking. And then I look at my phone, and there's somebody from the area code from upstate sent me a long-ass text with, at the bottom, I see doves and hands and hearts and shit like that. And I was like, what is this? And they was like, Lorenzo just passed away, bro, and his funeral is tomorrow. Wallahi. Yo, word to everything I love to my mother. You heard, Rich? I promise you, bro. You heard?
Yeah.
And I felt like bro told me in that instance that that's how he passed, because his little brother ain't had my number. He had my math. Right. So then when they went and found my number some kind of way, bro, and somebody else sent me the text, and then I showed up to his funeral, and it was like, I want to keep telling you the story, but it's like I want to tell you the story so you can know what I'm talking about, bro, how real it is. And that's just one instance. I don't know if I answered Queen's question, but I know the ancestors speak to us in some very interesting ways. One of my aunties just passed away, and my aunt, one of her last endeavors for me, one of her wishes for me was for me to meld and heal my relationships that I was like, flipping off. You know what I'm saying? And when she found out that I was in New York, my cousin told her, yeah, I was going to my little cousin, graduation, who's her grandson. And then she was like, good, tell Ahmed I want him to be there for my funeral. And I'm like, come on, auntie, don't do that. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, come on. And then she passed away, bro, the next day. You heard?
Wow.
So I'm like, this, like, I don't care about religion, bro. I don't care about dead rappers neither, bro. You heard? I got too many ancestors and too many people. We got too many people that actually have a full stake in our existence, DNA-wise, who are sitting at the edge of their seats in heaven, asking us like this, yo, do you remember me? I might be able to help you with that little raggedy ass situation you going through. You heard?
Right.
But do you know who I am? No, you barely know, because you can't even respect people that's alive. When the last time somebody called you and just said, yo, what's up, Rich? Instead of asking you to get on the show. Or asking you, yo, let me hold $10 or something, son. No, really call you and be like, yo, bro, are you okay? How you doing? You heard? So I don't want to be conscious, bro. For real. For real. We beyond that, bro. I'm cosmic community. For real. The socketry community. For real. The cash app.
I definitely, man. I feel you, my brother. Let's before you get out of here, my brother, one more time. You got so much going on. Tell all the people about your links, your clothing, anything you got coming up, whether you're gonna be at Art Base or whatever, how they can contact you. Let them know everything, eh?
They can keep posted. They can go to that'smyson.com to get the books. And they hit me on the line on the apparel. Me and my bro, we're gonna put the link up for the sweaters on this fine material on the website. But follow me on Instagram, man, and tap in. If you need the books, go to that'smyson.com. I also got a class on Hermetic Science, the Secret Teachings of Israel, and it's a 3-year course. But it's like, dudes don't find knowledge as a luxury item. Dudes is running around trying to get stunned on each other. There's men trying to stun on other men with with $1,000 sneakers. They won't spend $750 for a 3-year course to move objects with their mind. You heard? So I'm like, whatever, for real.
Shit, that was you. That one hit hard, AA. That one hit hard, brother. Hey, man, but it's always a pleasure having you on here, brother. And yeah, definitely keep doing it. You was when you was in the man, you was supposed to bring me a shirt, man. I didn't get a chance to get it from you,
I got you.
Yeah, you gotta
inundate me with the Addy, and I got you. I'm gonna send you a nice book too on sound that I know
excellent.
you will love.
Oh, excellent. What's the name of it? Where you get it from?
It's my collection is amazing, bro. I get my shits from the authors send them directly to me. You know what I mean? But I got you.
What the book is on cymatics? What is dealing with cymatics?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and the healing modalities of sound.
Wow.
Harmonics of healing. For real. And I know you would appreciate that. I was thinking that. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. I was just reading up on the solfeggio frequencies the other day. So it's very interesting that you say that. I'm gonna send you the Addy tonight so you can send it, man. I definitely appreciate it. Hey, listen, thanks for coming on, AA. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'm back in Atlanta, so I'm gonna get rolling again with the shows. With that being said, brother AA, brother Rich, we get out of here, family. See you next time. Peace.
Salute, Lord.
Yes, sir.